Hi there, I'm David Court and welcome to my Christmas ghost story reading. This is Ghosts of Yesterday by George Daniel Lee, dedicated to Stanley Hefford. It never changes. This place, my brother used to say, it's stuck in a time warp, as though someone took a slice of the mid-90s and preserved it in amber. This labyrinth of dark bricked terraces, windows obscured by dirty lace and nicotine-stained curtains, potholed roads, broken pavements, street lamps that flicker all times of day and night. It's always autumn in memory, though we spent so many summers here, 2 weeks out of every summer holiday. It still smells the same, that strange mixture of chemicals from the local ink and porcelain factories, frost-sharp air carried down from the nearby Peak District, arousing familiar, childlike contentment. A delusion, nothing left for me here now. Then why are you here? You know you shouldn't be. Yes, I know. Conspicuous, even sealed inside my car, an intruder in this hermetically sealed world, this fragment of lost childhood. Already getting late, a long drive back. Yes, long and lonely. Peering out through the condensation-misted windows, I noticed one difference. Emptiness. No children playing in front gardens or gutters, like they used to. No neighbours swapping gossip and scandals at their garden gates. No dog walkers, joggers, drunk staggering home from the windmill pub up the road. It hardly seems possible that it's only been a year. Don't you know better than this? I do, but to hell with it. I'm tired. So tired of being cautious and anxious and questioning every fucking decision. No, I don't belong here. No, I shouldn't be here. But where the fuck should I be, eh? Where is there for me or anyone now? 276 Fletcher's Row. It's changed, of course, but not as much as I expected. The rusted, wrought iron drive gates have been replaced, but the little gate next to them is still the same. Peeling paint, pulpy, splintering wood, an awkward old-fashioned latch that catches and sticks in damp weather. What are you doing? This doesn't belong to you anymore. Others have made memories here since, other families, other children. There's likely nothing left of Nan and Grandad here. Liar, I chuckle as I step through the gate, marvelling that it still makes the same whining noise, even smells the same, damp, rotting wood, oil on rusted metal. A flutter of wings, crows and magpies taking flight from the overgrown front garden, disturbed by my trespass. I laugh, remembering how Grandad once ran over his own toe with a damn lawnmower, an ambulance winging him to hospital. Weeds festoon the grass and rise from its borders now, coils of Japanese creeper strangling the hedges. And what are you going to say when they open the door and find you here, an intruder in their lives? Oh, shut the fuck up. If only they would, if only there were any chance of it. But no, the house is dead and empty as the rest of Fletcher's Row. The only ones likely to protest, barring the birds, are ghosts. The old porch, steps still broken, uneven, liable to break your neck one of these days, Nan always used to chide. I used to sit out here with him in summer. He'd peel an orange or an apple with his pocket knife, end up slicing his fingers open half the time. Remember that? The boy who laughs in my head is a ghost too, dead as everything else. It won't be the same. How many families have lived here since then? They'll have repainted, redecorated, scrubbed the place clean of them. There's nothing left here for you. Liar. The front door isn't the same, not blue and wood and frosted glass, but ugly white plastic, a floral design decorating its oval window. It doesn't suit the house at all, a single healthy tooth in a mass of diseased gums. Knock, knock. I don't know why. Old habits, I suppose. There's no one home. Even so, I trick myself into hearing something behind the door. The soft padding of an old dog down the stairs, the stirring of an older man half asleep in front of the living room TV. Here, Iris, there's somebody at the door. Well, bloody get it then, you know I'm busy. A shape emerges behind the frosted glass, shuffling from the living room doorway. Bloody hell, hang on, I'm coming. It's not him. It can't be him. Can't be anyone, and yet... The figure pauses behind the door, indistinct and phantasmal. Peering out with eyes so blue their tint almost glows through the floral greens and reds. Here, how'd you do this new door again, Iris? It is a bloody thing. The door handle rattles. I step back, ready to bolt for the car. You're a bloody thing, that you are. Just do like I showed you. Turn the bloody key. All right. I stumble back down the steps, the lock clicking, the door opening. Behind, crows and magpies cackle, return to their politics in the front garden. You shouldn't be here. There's nothing left for you here. I know, and yet the sense of belonging is so strong. I don't think I've ever felt the same anywhere else. It haunts me. It wounds. The past is a sadist, especially in a world where there's no tomorrow. Hello? No answer, of course no answer, save from the murders at my back. You remember them? How many were there at the window? How they chattered and cackled when he found him. Shut up, leave me alone, just let me... The door swings slowly inward, no one and nothing on the other side, save ghosts of yesterday. We found him on Christmas night. I found him, twisted and bleeding at the frosted window, so pale he looked unreal, a grotesque puppet sculpted from wax or tissue paper. He'd somehow opened the window despite it being locked and sealed, some fit or seizure brought on by escalating dementia. The birds were at the window, I remember that, so many of them, more than I'd ever seen in our back garden. We don't know what he did to himself or how. I wish it wasn't me, that someone else had found him like that. I wish I could reach into my mind and tease the memory out like a splinter, a shard of glass. I don't want that to be my last memory of him. I want him as he was, the laughing, smiling, clumsy, silly man of summer, who would take us on walks through woods and up hills, who made us laugh until we were sick with his antics, and wound my grandmother up something rotten. I want him back. I want the world that he was a part of back, a child's wish, a child as dead as he is, to that world to which they both belong. I didn't go to the funeral. They wouldn't have wanted me there anyway. The family all well turned out and respectfully grieving. What tears came quickly dried. Stories of tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow following. Houses and mortgages and pregnancies. Loans and weddings and holidays. I hate it all, and they know it on some level. Know why too. In me, my unspoken contempt, they see a reflection of their own unravelling, a time when it'll be them reaching for the frosted window, eager to breathe their last of winter frosted air, and see their final face reflected in a crow's dark eyes. None of it matters. It all comes apart anyway, that world, their world, the world of empty tomorrows. They let me know before it does, of course, what they think of me, how contemptible they find me for not being there, taking part in their pantomime. I don't bother explaining why, letting them know how deeply the play of grief disgusts me. Instead, I walk alone in a world that hasn't long left, that I somehow know will come apart before the first breath of spring. I walk like we used to walk when we were children, ignoring the photographs of the new niece my brother sends, the endless exhortations to answer and attend and apologise. I walk watching the frozen world shimmer, crisp leaves crunching beneath my shoes, avoiding the eyes of those that are already dead. And one night, after my mother proclaims to have given up on me, after my father's long familiar silence, the birds come, shrieking thousands by the sounds of it, my little flat rocked by the sheer number of them, the violence of their flocking. I sit and watch everything fail, TV, lights, electricity. I listen to my neighbours murmur and cling closer in their beds or flee out into the night, screaming they fall into abysses newly opened before their front doors. I wait for the same, for the dank, threadbare carpet to open beneath my feet, for the bricks and plaster to peel away and the birds to sweep in, pecking me naked until not even bone or regret remain. I sleep for a time, lulled by the flutter of frantic wings. Sleep and dream that ghosts surround me, carried here by the carrion storm. I can't bear the sights of them, the frowning children, hollow-eyed youths. I know them too well, the stories of disappointment they have to tell. But they won't leave me be this post-Christmas or any other. They bring their own sorrows with them, broken toys or unmasked gifts. Grandad stumbling into the Christmas tree in one of his earlier episodes, destroying it, injuring himself. Arguments and temper tantrums and snide comments about absent cousins over port or brandy. Ungrateful, spiteful, spoiled, sullen. All of that and more, the ghost at the table, always somehow removed from it all. And now it's gone. The ghosts tell me so. Whisper and whine as they slowly disperse to nothing. I don't know how long I have to listen to their old stories, their familiar regrets, but it's like reliving them, every forgotten shame and stupidity, every memory that makes me grit my teeth and pray to not to be me. But the birds take them, by and by, breaking through the old walls and windows, pecking them apart, carrying what remains away. Soon there's only the echoed flutter of their wings, their crackling hymns, then not even that. Silence save for my own slow heartbeat and the sobs shuddering me to the marrow. I woke to an empty world, as I often dreamed of, silently begged for as a boy. It seemed something heard my prayers, though it was slow to answer. The flat block was never silent, always a throb of music, loud enough to tremble the walls, the bark of second-hand arguments, babes crying in despair at the thought of becoming their parents. That first and last day, nothing. Not even the background hum of electricity that I never realised had been with me all my life until its absence. And I know, somehow in my dark and cold rooms, I know it should be glorious. It should be terrible, but it's neither. All I feel is a grey species of relief. It's over, that endless wheel, tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow, waking, worrying, disappointing. Over. I tried to find my parents' house. It isn't far, less than 20 minutes drive, but the birds have rearranged the world during the night, pecked it apart and pieced it back together in the wrong patterns. No matter how far I drive, how long I look, I can't find it. Hounslow Road, where I grew up, the old play park opposite, the old industrial estate down the road, gone. Removed to somewhere beyond my reach, taking with them childhood, the ghosts of those old times. Maybe they're waiting now, playing and replaying all those old games and dramas, the birthdays and arguments and Christmases of before. That Christmas, while we sat around the fire and TV, with our after-dinner coffees and ports and whiskies, gorging on chocolates and mince pies, while he was lost upstairs, lost in the cold, lost in his own head. I'm glad they came for him in the end, glad they gave him the release that we never could. And I'm glad that they've taken the world it all belonged to away, where I can never reach it, never have to see or lament it again. Empty? Yes. An empty world, not a whisper of humanity left. But echoes? Oh yes. Echoes are plenty, the place rancid with them, infested. And now without noise or distraction, I hear them, I see. Behind every doorway and half-drawn curtain, in every shadow in the edges of sight, ghosts. Not just mine, but everyone's. Ghost children playing games in gardens that no longer exist. Ghost men and women having arguments in parked cars and behind living room windows. A world of echoes, a world of sad stories. I don't realise how dangerous that is at first. I share their secret games, the children spinning fantasies from twigs, mud and nothing, making ephemeral worlds together, whose entire existence can be measured in the minutes between lunch or bedtime. I bask in others' joys, birthdays and marriage proposals, first kisses and endless Christmases. There's enough here to entertain 100 lifetimes or more, echoes more real, more tangible than any fiction. There are worse ways to live. But it's not life, is it? They aren't the ghosts here. This is their world. You are. I am. Alone and wandering from house to house, neighbourhood to neighbourhood, not even knowing where I'm headed or why, just seeking that next dream, the next life unlived. And the ghosts follow, trailing me as though seeking something I've taken from them that I can never give back. Echoes in my head, with me when I sleep, increasingly when I wake. Memories that aren't mine, cluttered, contradictory, people I can't possibly know or be. And along with the joys and celebrations, the darkness and disappointment, the confusion and disease, not of one life any longer but 100, 1,000, disappointments, despairs, guilts and shames, more fulsome and frequent by far than any pleasures, more than any single mind is meant to cope with. It's your own fault, you know. You've always been too open, too sensitive, taking on the weight of the world when there was nothing you could do. No fear of that now, right? I learned by and by, to screen them out, for sanity's sake, to sift and filter the ghosts into molecular portions. Here joy to be savoured, here shame to be flushed away. Even so, there's only so much I can handle. I have to retreat when I can to silent places where the echoes are so few, so old they barely reach me. Have you ever tried to find places where humanity barely sets foot? It isn't easy, I can tell you, especially in a world this broken. But I learned by and by, even learn to tether and carry those that provide some sustenance, some relief. What does that make you? Some pathetic species of vampire? I suppose it does, after a sense. Sans any romance or sense of tragedy the monster traditionally entails. No, not a vampire, more like a cockroach or carrion beetle, left in the remains of an old mouldering house. Why not? I still prefer it to the desperate Darwinian struggles of before. A dream before death, maybe, at the edge of apocalypse. The promised flash of light that even now separates my cells from one another, making me less than an echo, not even a shadow on the wall. Just more unmasked for existence, at the edge of reality, where I can peer over the fractured, jagged edge into blissful nowhere and hear the carrion hymns of those that tore it all apart, that may flock again to finish the job in time. And now here, where I shouldn't be, where I can't be. Impossible. You know that's impossible. Yes, I do. This little hallway that smells of furniture polish and roast chicken, no matter how often it's cleaned or painted, the off-yellow floral wallpaper whose patterns swarm with alien faces, dancing nymphs and dryads, the old grey rotary phone, the stairs with their carpet like dimly burning ashes, the photographs and shelves of mismatched ornaments lining the wall, old clocks that haven't worked for decades, plaster statues of dogs, tortoises and soldiers, seashells scavenged from forgotten holidays. It doesn't look like this. It hasn't for years, decades now. How many lifetimes do you think this one is buried beneath? How many echoes? Doesn't matter. I'm here now, and the warm belonging inside swells like a bonfire. Nan? Grandad? It's me. It's Daniel. They wouldn't even recognise you now. You'll be a stranger to them. Grandad? I peer around the living room doorway, finding the room as I remember it. The old, tiled fireplace. Plaster figurines of dogs and soldiers at the mantel, a bowl of fruit on a freestanding table that Grandad cobbled together in his workshop, each of its legs of a different length, the old deep crimson sofa where we used to sit with him of an evening and watch wildlife documentaries, Arnold Schwarzenegger films. But no sign of the man himself, not the merest echo. That absence in this place that's otherwise so full of them, painted and suffused with their lives, chills me to my marrow. Others, worse people by far, have sustained, abusers, narcissists and sadists, still echoing even now. Why not you? I asked the empty room. Where have you flown to? As though in answer, the hazy impressionist silhouette of a magpie alights on the window beyond the lace curtains and frosted glass. I can't help but go to it, the creature peering in, cocking its head in curiosity, expectation. I don't know what you want, I laugh, sinking down into the ratty, tattered armchair in the corner, beneath the standing lamp. I used to read here for hours as a boy, so lost in other worlds, I often didn't notice him creeping up on me till he tweaked my ear or dripped water down my neck. I don't know what you want. An electronic shriek cuts the silence, settling down into a static whisper. Music rises through the discord as the magpie calls, taking flight. The old wireless radio that played all the time in this house. As I get up, drift dreamily into the hallway, a distorted, scratchy rendition of Wet, 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 If I Never See You Again filters through the noise. My mum loved them, used to listen to them here while I played with plastic action figures beneath the dining room table. It still smells the same. I breathe in several decades of meals, from the fish and chip suppers on Monday evenings to the roast that Nan rose at 5 a.m. every Sunday to start preparing. Nan? She's not here. No one's here, nor should you be. As in the living room, the absence here sucks like a cavity in a rotten tooth. I can feel where she should be, the outline of her, but in that space there's nothing but silence. Nan? The radio skitters and distorts. The song momentarily becomes a chorus of crow calls and magpie cackles before settling into a gentle static whisper. I'm surprised it still works. It doesn't. You need to leave. It's getting late. Why? Why this urgency, this tightening dread in my belly? This place is as good as any, better than the caves and fields in the Peak District, where I've been making my makeshift beds. You'll die here if you stay. I sink down on the rocking chair in front of the old gas fire that never exploded or caught a flame throughout my childhood is nothing short of a miracle. So fucking what? The world is dead. I don't know what this is. Some fragment blown across creation, still trying to function, to sustain itself, and failing. I'm just the last survivor, the last rat clinging to the driftwood. Before an answer can form, the birds come again, fluttering outside the window, an indistinct blur of wings, beaks, talons through the tobacco-stained lace curtains. I start, jumping to my feet, as some hurtle into the window with such force as to snap their necks, burst their fragile bird skulls, leaving berry spatters of their minds across the glass. Stop. They chatter and cackle as they mass, their chorus indistinguishable from the ghost-haunted static of the radio. I remember finding him there that night, slumped and bloodied, the birds at the window, looking as though he'd tried to reach for them before his frail, diseased body gave up. Leave. The car's only outside. We can make it. And go where? There's nowhere else. It's a miracle we found this fucking place. And how did we find it? I remember arriving with almost nothing of the way here, setting out on the road, flashes and splinters, the juddering stops and starts of a nightmare. And assuming we do leave, where then? Another pointless journey, another wander without purpose or direction? Best we stay now, even if they're right, even if it means... The birds cry and cackle more furiously, hurling themselves against the window with such force the glass crazes and fractures. I hear them elsewhere too, upstairs in the little bedroom, on the roof, dislodging old tiles, scraping and pecking and thudding against the brick walls. It might take forever, a work of suicidal years, broken bodies piling up around the house, but they'll bring it down around me. You should never have come. You don't belong here. I know. A trespasser in my own forgotten life, in memories that likely bear little resemblance to the original reality. I'm an alien here, an ignorant tourist desecrating sacred sites by his presence. Drawing aside the lace curtains, I look out into the avian storm. Fletcher's Row barely exists now, reduced to impressionist fragments glimpsed between beating wings, in the rare gaps between flocking feathered bodies. Even what little I see doesn't make sense. The terraced houses not as they were when I pulled up outside, partially collapsed, their blackened shadows interiors exposed, betraying the extent of their abandonment. As we get closer to the window, swallowing back revulsion as the smears of crow brains and magpie guts on the glass, the radio bursts into life again, voices filtering through the static. It takes a while before I recognise them, but they grow gradually clearer. Laughing children, Christmas carols on TV, people arguing in the kitchen over the most efficient way of serving dinner. I recognise them all. My nan's delighted chuckle, Grandad's cackle, the delighted laughter of my own child self, whooping and whooshing through the living room with whatever plastic miracle he found under the tree. I don't remember that Christmas. No, you wouldn't. Another distortion, swallowing hymns and laughter. Outside through the flocks, glimpses of figures, suspended spectral in the air. There is no ground, no sky any longer, no street or distant neighbourhoods. Everything is finally gone, collapsed into whatever abyss they swarm from. They beckon me, those flayed and blooded things, those pecked wretched parodies of humanity. Beckon and smile, lipless smiles, weep port tears from eaten hollow eyes. You should have left before. You should never have come. I never noticed before, but it's a child's voice that echoes inside. The lost and lonely boy I've never stopped being, never truly forgotten. The radio sputters, again hymns, Christmas carols, again voices, but wearier, older and sadder this time. No children laugh or play, instead the stunted, frustrated conversations of adults, for whom the day is just another series of chores and disappointments. I remember this. It's the day he died alone, confused, likely calling to us in his own breathless way, wanting us near him, even if he didn't recognise us. The day they came and called him away from this broken, worthless world. Even more broken, even more worthless now. You're out there, aren't you? I see him, one of many flayed, pecked bloody, but clearly him. That same boy whom my granddad saw when others couldn't, who he always made laugh or smile, that he tried to draw from himself out into the world in which he took such delight. I'll always be grateful for that, even though he ultimately failed. I didn't want you here. You don't belong here. No, I laugh, pressing fingers to the cold glass, feeling a familiar film of condensation. No, I don't. None of us do. Our ghosts, our echoes, mine, my brother's, my mums and aunts who grew up here, who haunt this place more sincerely than any. Is that what came for him at the end? The ones he used to be, whose places in the world he'd supplanted? A horrible thought. I don't want them here any more than they want me. Bloodied avatars of years best left forgotten, spent in isolation and despair and desperate loneliness, aching for the flash of light, the roar beneath the earth, or the fire in the sky that would mark its end. It's here. It's come, just like we prayed. Isn't it wonderful? This hellish kaleidoscope, this dying man's dementia dream, this is what I prayed for. I slump back, away from the window, away from birds and ghosts and madness. This house, these empty memories, would it be so bad being a ghost here? No, you can't. I know, it doesn't belong to me. But now it doesn't belong to anyone. Nothing does. Grey waking, the world that rises on Boxing Day, bleary-eyed and muddle-headed in dread of the year to come, is dead. Ghosts are all that's left, and they have no claim over anything. The radio shrieks, its cacophony filled with echoes of old shames, of moments I've done it all in my power to bury and forget. The birds cry with it, their voices crackling, rising to agonising screams as they descend on the house, shuddering it with the fury of their violence. You can't stay. We won't let you. I laugh, knowing there's nothing they can do if I choose to defy them. I don't know how long I can sustain here on my own, fed by whatever stray echoes I draw from these walls, but it's longer than they'll endure. They're already unravelling, falling apart along with the world they once belonged to. It won't be long before they're not even memories, not even ghosts. Danny. I wheel away from the window, glancing into the hallway, to the front door through which the voice filters. Danny, you gonna let me in or what? No. The children outside on the radio laugh. You came here to find him. We know you did. Now you have. He's dead. He's been gone for years. Long before his idiot body had finally failed. Long before he bashed open his own skull against the bedroom window, hoping to fly away with the birds on the winter breeze. I knew it. Everyone knew it, but we pretended otherwise. Pretended it was all we could do to feed and cleanse and keep him comfortable. The children laugh cruelly. The door handle rattles. Oh, God damn it. Forgot me key again, didn't I, Iris? I laugh. Can't help it. He was always doing that, even before the dementia. Here, Danny boy, let us in, why don't you? I can't stand out here freezing me bollocks off all day. Tears through the laughter. It's so like him, the man I remembered, not the vacant-eyed, near-silent doll he became. Don't. You'll regret it. The children's voices on the radio dissolve into distorted nonsense, mingling with the cries and chatter of lunatic birds. I can't help it. Can't help myself any more than I might in a dream. Stumbling, eyes blurred, nose running through the hallway to the front door that isn't the same anymore. Not ugly institution white plastic, but painted wood, blue peeling in places to reveal layers of red and green. Beyond the frosted glass, a familiar silhouette, the birds flocking behind little more than a summer rainstorm. Eyes so blue, the bluest eyes I've ever seen, almost luminous. Fool, the same stupid, lost, frightened little fool. Always. I never forgot him, never left him behind. Reaching for the door handle, I find it hard, and it was. The hand that grasps it not so lined and worn, the hairs upon its back and fingers gone, nails bit to the quick. I remember that hand, the sleeve of the knitted Christmas jumper that slides loose and frayed over its wrist. You there, Danny boy? A gentle knocking, a familiar rhythm, shave and a haircut. Upstairs in the kitchen, the dining room glass smashes, and the storm surges in, the cries and cackles it carries enveloping me, drowning out all else. Old hymns, Christmas carols, arguments over unwanted gifts, childish ingratitude, how long to cook the turkey, a hurricane of wings and feathers, beaks and talons, unblinking, accusatory eyes. Little fool, I told you not to come. This isn't yours, and it never was. Smiling through tears, through bloody, pecked, ragged lips, I open the door, flinging myself through, into arms that wrap around me like a spider's, too thin, too long, too many joints. Hey now, what's all this? We ain't been gone that long. He smells the same, Old Spice, tobacco smoke and peppermint, but there's something else too, something deeper, meatier, more pungent. The storm envelops us, pecking and clawing. The house, the paving beneath our feet, fly apart, leaving us suspended in that place he went, where he ached to be, at the wretched end of his days. Not for you, eh? He whispers, running overlong, too many jointed fingers through my bloody hair. No such thing for you. No, never. I resolved that long before I found him, long before the sick cry that brought the rest running from the living room, Christmas time TV abandoned. I won't end like that. I won't let it get that far. They took it as a judgment, of course, on their own characters, the care they provided, the sincerity of their love, and in a way it was. It still is. You were right, lad. I wouldn't have wanted it. I didn't. And now neither of us have to worry, do we? For the first time I look up from his arms, through the blood and tears, into eyes that still burn the most brilliant blue, a smile that's still so earnest, despite the horror in which it sits, beyond a flocking infinity, wings and feathered bodies so dense they eclipse any stars or void where they hang. Amongst them drift and float the pecked, ragged forms of others, dreamers and drifters like me, the ones I once was in another life, that belong to yesterday. You don't belong here. A child's voice, angry, slurred with frustration at my trespass. I see him now, a spectre removed from the rest, descending from amongst the flocks, what ragged remains of a face it boasts, twisted in infantile rage. The thing that was my grandfather throws back its wounded head, cackling more cruelly than it ever did before. The child thing stops, writhing in suspension, fresh wounds weeping across its wretched body. Don't listen to him, Danny boy. He's just jealous that there's other places waiting for you, other tomorrows. The child weeps, glaring contempt, but keeps its silence, as last our mutual grandfather convulses in my embrace, which I imagine he did on that last night, where there was no one there to hold or comfort him. Black, bloody wings burst from his back, disturbing the flocks as they flap themselves clean of redundant filth and matter. Smiling, those blue eyes burning with such promises, he carries us up, away from broken yesterdays, the ghosts that haunt them, into a tomorrow I've dreamed of since the womb, and forgotten with every unwanted waking.